I can do a good. I feel like my Luigi, where he goes, Wahoo! That's
That's
pretty
pretty
good.
good.
I could do Wario.
I can't make
I
not donkey sounds. Gorilla sounds.
Here, everyone's Yoshi.
Oh.
Yoshi.
I don't think Yoshi even does that in this game, though.
No, it's like that.
It's the weird, like...
Nice.
Beep.
Beep.
Wahoo! It's a flashback 64. Welcome everyone to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I'm Gooey, here with my co-host McKenna.
Hello.
Hey McKenna. And we are here with returning guests Corey Richmond.
Heyo.
And Nico Sylvian.
Heyo.
It's great to have both of you back. We've got... I don't know if it can be heard, but we've got a nice, at least at our home in Illinois, we've got a nice rainy vibe going on that's setting the stage.
Some ambiance.
Hopefully no power issues. It might flood here, though. And we might have a wave race situation.
There was some light flooding outside. I think I did see people with their jet skis getting ready to go.
We got a flood watch on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
You guys are high up. You should be fine.
We said this to Corey. If we disappear, the show is in your hands.
I'm taking over.
No one will be listening at that point, but
that's fine.
Yeah, so we're back. We want to thank everyone for returning once again. We actually, so in the meantime, we got some housekeeping to do. So we just launched a Patreon page, and it's a pretty simple thing. The only thing we really have on offer is $1 per month, and it's really just a way to give us a hand if you're enjoying the show. But we've already got 4 patrons, so I want to shout them out. Right now, the only really specific benefit we have is we got a special role we'll put on you in the Discord if you're in there, and it's got a little secret chat that only a few of us are in, so
yeah. Very exclusive
club, yeah. But I want to give a shout out to, and as long, I can't promise this, but as long as it's not too many people, we'll give you shout outs on the show. But it might hit a point where but anyway.
It's gonna hit a point. It's gonna hit that point.
We're gonna have hundreds, I'm sure. But right now we've got our pals Scurvy Scurvo, Adriel, Paul, aka Quaid, and Kai. All pretty cool people we have over in our Discord. So even if you don't want to give to the Patreon, you should come hang out in the Discord because we got a cool group of people there. New people coming all the time. It's a nice vibe. And of course, we have our monthly game nights that we're trying to do. Our first one went really well. Nico, you were there. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
I was very upset. I was not there.
Corey was not there.
You guys gave the little notification, and I was like, maybe I should put that on my calendar because I was fully intending to do it, and then it was the next day, and I was like, it just happened. I missed it.
Well, as of this recording, this is going to come out after the next one, but we've got that one night posted up there. We're trying to do we're going to go for the last Monday of every month, which will be right before our episodes come out. We're going to keep aiming for that. Obviously it may change, but just keep looking at our, we'll announce it on Discord and stuff. So, thanks to everyone though for pitching into the Patreon. And I also wanted to shout out, so we just had come out, McKenna and I, we did a bonus episode where we went through our favorite stuff from the first year that we covered, 1996 in review. And we kind of went through and we caught up with all our reviews and stuff. But just yesterday we got a brand new review on the podcast, so I just wanted to shout that out. It's from Fairy Crypt, who said, "I am a little bit older than the hosts, and I appreciate hearing their recollections of the cultural climate at the time different games for the N64 came out. I vividly remembered when the system debuted. It was a huge deal. The hosts do a great job of explaining some behind-the-scenes information for each game, too. Just a fun podcast." So, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It is a fun podcast. I agree.
Thank you, yes. I agreed with your review as well, Corey, so thank you. So, we're all back. You two are back. It's great to have you back. We've got some ground to cover for sure. There's some serious stuff we're covering. But before we get into the games, of course, we have to do our patented flashback segment. So let's talk about what was going on. The time period we're covering now goes from January 16th to February 10th, 1997. Unbreak My Heart by Toni Braxton still dominates the top of the charts during this entire period. We see a lot of the same previous top 5 songs up in the top 5, but we have some newcomers. We've got Can't Nobody Hold Me Down by Puff Daddy featuring Mace, and Wannabe by Spice Girls. So we're just seeing that come into the midst.
What a jam.
It's such a jam. We're happy to see it. Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt remained at number 1 for pretty much this entire period, except for 1 week when it was briefly dethroned by the soundtrack to the film Gridlocked, which looked interesting. We didn't get a chance to check that out, but it stars Tim Roth and Tupac. And I'm adding it. We're going to have to start a list. I'm adding it to movies we missed, because there's a handful of movies that have popped up and we just haven't had the chance to get to it, but that sounds like a good one.
Shout out Tragic Kingdom. That's a sick album. I've been on a big No Doubt kick recently, and that album rocks.
Yes. Yeah, it was strong for it was almost like a 2-month. It started in late 96, so just a powerhouse album, crushing it. Other albums joining in the top 5. We've got the soundtrack to Romeo and Juliet, which has that amazing
sick
Cardigan song, as well as a lot of great songs. We've got Blue by Leanne Rimes, Secrets by Toni Braxton, which we already talked about, the top single, and the soundtrack to Evita, which I'm adding that also to the list of movies we gotta watch. There was a lot of movies we did watch, and that one didn't make it in, but
that's worth a watch.
Big movie soundtrack era.
Highest grossing films, we have Michael Returns, the John Travolta Angel movie, The Relic, which was I thought it was an awesome monster movie set in the museum downtown in Chicago. Really fun alien in a museum movie. We had Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley.
Oh baby.
Oh yeah. Jerry Maguire also returns back to the top from last month, and this is also when the special edition release of the Star Wars, the original trilogy, occurred.
Now, for its 20th anniversary, the adventure of a lifetime returns to the big screen.
This is when they brought back them to theaters first and then home release, and they added things into it, new CG effects and stuff like that.
I think those are the ones, I think that's the set of VHS tapes that I had growing up.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
I had the original.
The original.
I didn't see the special edition for a long time.
Yeah.
So I always had the original VHS.
Those are pretty much the only versions you can watch now. They've made it so you can't watch the actual.
They've retconned it, yeah.
Yeah. Just a little.
It's kind of crazy.
Just a little annoying, but
I don't think I saw Star Wars until my adult life.
This is probably the only version you've seen, maybe.
So they're the only ones I've ever seen for sure.
I was actually listening. We went back to our friends over on the Blockade Runner, the Star Wars podcast, and I mentioned it when we had Ryan on the show, but they've done episodes where they recapped Star Wars in the 90s. So today I was listening to their episode on that, And I guess, it was interesting. Not only did they re-release these movies, but this was the time period where principal photography began on The Phantom Menace. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great
Big Star Wars time.
yeah, good marketing, obviously. Yeah, we're gonna see Star Wars take off again. Other big games from this time period that were released, and I feel bad because I actually think one of these might have been in Japan and come later, but we have Diablo and Final Fantasy VII both came out in this time period. So I think Final Fantasy doesn't hit America yet, but still, these are heavy hitters.
Oh yeah,
coming out very big.
I have very fond memories of sitting on the edge of my parents' bed, watching my dad play Diablo, and not letting mom find out.
Yeah, you can't be caught watching something called Diablo. I can't even say it.
That's the devil.
Oh no.
Diablo, enter if you dare.
We also have the emergency alert system is introduced in the United States.
Wait. The emergency alert system, like the really loud thing on the TV?
Yeah, we might get one tonight.
Terrifying.
Yeah, you might hear it on here.
You might catch it on pod.
Every time that happens, like ever since I was a kid, I just think the world is ending. It's
Yeah, me
the
too.
worst thing.
You think you'd get used
Like,
to
oh
it.
god.
Yeah,
So it's only
no.
I would have thought that would have happened like in the 80s, but
There
that's
weren't
a
there weren't
surprise.
emergencies
That's what I
back
got.
then.
Apparently,
Yep. You can fact check it. I don't know.
it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? Is about as much as they got out of that. They didn't need some emergency
Yeah.
alert service.
No, emergencies started in the late 90s.
In sports, the Green Bay Packers beat the New England Patriots 35-21 at the Super Bowl 31. Yeah, sorry, Corey.
What a shame. What a shame.
A Midwest dominance, I guess.
It's unfortunate.
Are we football people here? I don't think any of us are football people.
No,
I like college football.
Oh, that's cool.
but I'm a local New Englander, so I'm an obligatory New England sports fan, I guess.
The Packers are actually kind of the Chicago Bears. That's kind of a rivalry, I guess. So it's not very good for us. This was Brett Favre's, I think, first win. So this is a start for a long career. And we actually watched some highlights.
Good for Brett.
NFL's got the whole thing on YouTube, and you can click and see the highlights. So we didn't watch the game, but we watched the highlights. We watched the Blues Brothers, ZZ Top
What a halftime show!
halftime show.
That's wild.
We watched some commercials, actually. One standout commercial was one for Amazon. Yeah, you caught that? With,
Well, it wasn't even an Amazon commercial. It was like 4 different company featuring this new Amazon.
When you see that 2,000% a year internet growth rate, you want to just jump in. Thing is, the internet can help you gain or lose a lot of customers very quickly.
This was the start of it. I think it's later in the 90s where there's the whole .com bubble thing, and there's a ton of that at the Super Bowl, but we were starting to see it. We watched a handful of commercials, and there's a lot of just like websites. Check out the internet,
Yeah.
computers.
Yeah.
Check out the interweb.
In politics, Madeleine Albright becomes the first female Secretary of State for the United States.
Good for her.
Yay. Feminism.
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. Is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
I also, today at work, I listened to the 1997 State of the Union address. It was really annoying, but it was the first State of the Union to be broadcast on the internet.
Whoa.
So the internet's getting pretty big. Yeah.
A child born tonight will have almost no memory of the 20th century. Everything that child will know about America will be because of what we do now to build a new century.
Before we can get to that new millennium, though, we got to talk about some games. Let's go and dive into NBA Hangtime.
NBA Hangtime is the home version of the arcade basketball game and the third basketball game developed by Midway after the first two NBA Jam games. The name was changed to Hangtime because a different publisher acquired the naming rights for NBA Jam in the home market. Gameplay is similar, but with some new features like the double slam dunk and spin move. There's also a new Create a Player feature where you can customize your own basketball player. There are 29 teams to choose from, featuring rosters from the 1996 to 1997 NBA season. You can play on your own or with up to 4 players cooperatively and competitively.
So we said no football fans here, but how about basketball? Where, Corey, Nico, where are y'all on basketball?
I got big hands, but I use them for piano, not basketball.
Can you palm a basketball?
I could palm a basketball in middle school.
It's hard.
My hands are too stubby and fat. I can't get anywhere near palming a basketball.
Okay.
Get good, Mr. Richmond. Come on.
Yeah. Let me extend my fingers.
Do you ever watch much basketball or anything?
I've been to some NBA games.
I think basketball games are pretty fun to go to. I went to a lot when I was in college.
Yeah.
I also played basketball when I was a kid.
Oh.
I played basketball in elementary school.
Nice.
Yeah, I stopped when I was in when I got to high school or something.
Uh-huh.
I'm 5'6", so
yeah.
I feel like I was the kid who in middle school I was really tall. So I'd play like the tall person positions. But once we got older, I stayed the same height. So I was if I still played basketball, I'd be playing, the shorter player positions.
You had a window of time
playing a completely different position.
Dominated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it when I was a kid, and then I think it was like in middle school where I basically stopped doing like sports. I was like, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna be a nerd.
Cut it off. I'm a nerd. No more sports.
But obviously, especially around here in northern Illinois, where I grew up, in the 90s, the Bulls were massive. Michael Jordan was a legend, and as I've said before, I loved Space Jam. I was super into, and I just thought we had cool like Bulls memorabilia in our house and stuff. So when I was like a real little kid, I thought it was super super cool. But by the time I got to middle school, I was kind of not on that train. But you couldn't escape Michael Jordan. I'm sure other places were even taken over by that. We watched, even they were in that one documentary, they were over in France playing, and everyone was freaking out because of Michael Jordan. He was a superstar. He's not even in the game we're talking about, but it's hard to talk about 90s and basketball without him. What about...
Yeah.
Sorry, Corey, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I grew up like the town over pretty much from Yukon, and during... pretty much my whole childhood was when the Yukon women's basketball team was absolutely dominating every other school ever. So I actually have been to a lot of college basketball games, and I even when I was in school, I worked for the athletics department for set up for events and stuff. So I actually was on the court side for a bunch of our college basketball games. So I have a lot of exposure to that.
Yeah.
And I've been to a couple NBA games, but not. It was never really anything I followed, actively.
Okay. I've never been to a single NBA game, at least that I remember.
Really?
I know, yeah.
I don't...
Growing up in the Northwest, we don't have a lot of professional sports. I mean, Idaho has, none, which is where I'm from. But, we'd go to Portland, we'd go to, Trailblazers games. Down to Utah, lots of family would go to Jazz games. And I always had a blast. I mean, I grew up going to mostly college football games at Boise State because, that's where I grew up. All my family went to Boise State, so that was a big thing. But football games were fun, but basketball was more fun because it was it's more up close and personal. Even for big NBA games, it feels like you're right on the court half the time. It's It's and it's fast paced, whereas
Oh,
football,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
you
lot
just
more
kinda
active.
you stand around and wait for them to do something.
Mhm.
Basketball's go go go. It's cool. I love an NBA game.
Yeah,
It was
basketball
definitely
gets real intense.
especially in the 90s, because they like basically got basketball. It became like the coolest sport in the world in the 90s. I feel like the coolest thing.
The WNBA had their first season in 1997.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, basketball. It was going crazy.
It's a good year for basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And basketball, so naturally there's going to be a lot of video games, and
Of course.
it's hard to talk about this game without mentioning NBA Jam, because this is essentially a sequel to NBA Jam. But as McKenna mentioned, Acclaim had the rights to like the home releases of an NBA Jam and like the name on home console. So this was Midway had developed them all, but that's just how it worked out. So they call it NBA Hangtime, but it's essentially NBA Jam 3, I guess you could say.
3, yeah.
But I guess I don't think many of us even have much experience with NBA Jam, which is it's a classic game.
Well,
but
I played NBA Jam when I went to headquarters downtown in Chicago.
Oh, awesome. How
with
was playing it there in the
my
arcade?
buddies Daniel and Dalton. It was cool. It was hard. Couple
is
beers
hard,
in and
yeah.
you're not doing so well, but it's a blast. And I mean, I remember there was a machine in that in that arcade. It was, I think, NFL Blitz that had like
Yes.
an N64 like cartridge slot
Yes.
on the arcade machine, and I took pictures of it. And I
What?
think I showed it to you guys, and I was like, "What is this?"
Mhm.
I was a few beers in, so I don't remember a lot of that. But I don't think the NBA Jam had anything like that. But I'd be
No.
curious to see if NBA Hangtime arcade machines would, because this was also on arcade, right? Like there were.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. There is
Okay.
an arcade version of it. Though I don't think we've seen that. We played NBA Jam a little bit at Galloping Ghosts, but I don't think they had Hangtime. It's more likely that it would have something, because I feel like this was. I mean, they were still Midway was still primarily arcade based at the time, but they were like how Rare did with like Killer Instinct Gold. They were trying to kind of make these alongside each other, sort of.
Well,
you know?
I'm looking at the release dates for NBA Hangtime, and it says that the arcade release was April 16th, 96.
Mhm.
So that seems like a bit of a gap to where they may not have done anything with the N64.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah, because you never know if those were developed like with that in mind, but
Yeah,
it
who
could have
knows?
I
been.
believe the arcade version has the 95, 96.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so they updated
Roster.
the roster. Okay,
Interesting.
that's cool.
Mhm.
That is cool.
So yeah, NBA Jam. Had you hadn't played it much really, other than
No, just when we played it.
I I played that one a little bit, but Blitz, like Nico mentioned, I think I've mentioned this before. Like that's the arcade sports game that I think I played the most of, and I think a lot of them have a similar design philosophy in like the simplicity of like the buttons. You know, you can really kind of learn the 2 buttons and the turbo button, and so there's, you know, on some level, like if you've played one of them, like, and you understand the concept of the other sport, you can kind of get into the other ones pretty quick. So there is sort of that's one thing that's nice about them, is there's sort of an easy barrier to entry. But I didn't play much of this back in the day. I did want to say, when I was a kid, I had on the NES, I had a game that was Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird on the NES, and it was a 1-on-1 basketball game where you could play as Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, and you play 1-on-1 against each other, which was
And that
pretty
was the
sick.
whole game?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I loved it. I'd be interested to revisit it, but that's really the only basketball game I played a little bit of. And there was a Space Jam game that I dabbled in, but it wasn't on
We had
N64, I don't think.
We had a basketball game for the N64, and I can't remember what it was because unfortunately it's one of the very few that we didn't hang on to. I don't know where it went, but I know we owned it. And I know I didn't really touch it that much because I was more like, that's my brother's game. Like, I don't need to play that. But I'm sure I did. I'm sure I watched it or put my hands on it at one time or another.
There's a backyard basketball game.
Backyard basketball?
Yeah, I'm
NBA
trying to remember
Streets
if
or something.
I definitely remember playing the backyard baseball game.
I think
I had a
PC,
few of them.
I was a big
The
fan
backyard
of those
games are
ones.
awesome.
Yeah, they were great.
But yeah, so I apologize because we tried to get some experts on for every game we've talked about, but as you can see, we're all kind of noobs when it comes to NBA Hangtime. But
it was fun though.
It was fun
getting to play with you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
I beat you guys on the second round, didn't I?
Yes.
Did I win?
So,
I did. Yeah.
yeah, I think we both won one.
Yeah.
So it was great to get to play with you. I wish we could have had 4 people. I think that's where the game really shines because we were playing. We had Connor bring over his SNES Classic when we were playing a little bit of NBA Jam. And I feel like that and Hangtime both have a it's like I said, very easy, very entry to pick up and play, but it's very difficult. The games are both very hard. And we went with we had a whole roller coaster that we went through trying to beat this game. And we didn't even realize that we started with a massive handicap. There's all these we didn't realize there was a difficulty level at first. And I felt bad because we usually read the manuals, but I think I just missed that part of the manual. But we had difficulty. There's 10 levels of difficulty on it.
What?
And it was turned up. Which
That's pretty cool.
It is cool, but McKenna can back me up here. We turned it all the way down to 0.
It was
or
still
whatever,
really hard.
and it was still hard. We still
so,
lost.
the game is programmed that you cannot win by a lot.
Yes, this is something that's in Blitz.
There's
I think Wayne Gretzky.
Luck.
That's wild.
Statistic.
A
luck
slingshot
element
type
to
element.
it. So if you start getting ahead, then the other team is more likely to make shots and steal.
Wow.
And you're less likely to make shots.
Yeah.
So you can get really good at the game.
They don't want you to win.
They don't want you to win. I mean, I guess the arcade, that's how arcade games are. They don't want you to win. They want you to put that that extra quarter in.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, but I feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when I would play Blitz and when I play Wayne Gretzky and we played it together, I felt like it kept me on my toes and it kept me feeling challenged, and there are harder, you can make it harder on yourself. Whereas this, I felt like the baseline was already punishingly difficult.
Oh, man.
We did win a couple times though, so we did grind it out and we won, and it was super satisfying. But I felt like it was I don't know. I just feel like maybe the base level difficulty was a little bit too tough.
It did feel like a lot of times we'd start out and we'd
got
start
really
getting
good
ahead.
at the beginning.
We'd have a maybe double digit lead, and then all of a sudden it's just
it start
they're
whooping
making
our
a shot.
ass.
They're making the shots.
Damn.
We're missing our shots.
Do you think it was just more meant to be a multiplayer experience? And then they just put that in the single player and we're like, yeah, this should be fine.
Yeah, maybe. Because I think, I don't know if that's what they intended, but when you read, every review of it kind of says a similar thing. Or even NBA Jam, you'd see it too, where people are like, this is great 4-player. It's really hard single player. Though I'm sure, so I found some reviews, actually. I found the opposite thing, where I found someone criticizing that they could win the game, but what they were mad about was they would decrease the difficulty level and they wouldn't win by more. because of the slingshot thing. So it's like, it sounds like they could beat it on any level. So you can get really good at this. Like, I don't want to diss the game and just say it's like, oh, it's punishingly hard and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you can definitely get really good at this. But some person was saying, like, yeah, it's basically whether I'm on 10 or 1, I'm only winning by a couple baskets or whatever, a couple shots. But no, I mean, it was still pretty fun. It's hard. Like I said, I was trying to look up other things about it, by other people, and like everything I looked up just led to people talking about it in comparison to NBA Jam. So I feel like it's kind of, and like there was a lot of people talking about how they think it's better than NBA Jam, but you can only ever, it's like living in the shadow of NBA Jam a little bit. So I kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a blast. I mean, when the three of us were playing, it was you two against me, and I had a computer as my other teammate because it's 2-on-2, and it was a blast. Like being able to like push you guys over and make like ridiculous half court shots, and I don't know, it's a funny game. We were laughing our asses off playing it together. It's just a good time.
The tone and the vibe of it is really good. Obviously, like
good vibes.
It's got the fun. It's arcade feel. Like you've got the announcer who says stuff like the famous lines. Boom shakalaka is the famous one.
Yeah, boom shakalaka.
You know, if you make 3 shots in a row, they're like, you go on fire. He's on fire. Yeah, good stuff.
Then it's all over.
Then it's and when it happens to like, the computer, we're like, ugh. I think we did do this enough, but I also think it would be fun to do like 1-on-1, like someone playing with the computer against you, you know, kind of on an even playing field a little bit more. Compared to like Wayne Gretzky when we were playing, it was more fun, I think, to team up, you know, just because of how the difficulty worked out there. But some of the stuff they added to this was kind of cool. Like you can, if you enter your name and a code, you can basically create a player. And they've got fun.
I like when games have that feature. That's so cool.
It's not much. Like you just pick like your head and your uniform, and then you have stats though that you can increase. And you can pick some unique stuff. Like I made an alien. I kind of made a lady.
Yeah, a lady.
Oh, and you can pick their nickname.
Yeah.
So mine, I'd be playing, and they go, "Fat Boy's got the ball." His nickname was Fat Boy. You had Shadow.
Yeah, I think I changed it a few times.
Okay. I read those give you attributes too, like secret hidden ones.
Oh.
Depending on So that's kind of
lots of hidden info in the game. It's so mysterious for a basketball game.
I think we won. Did we win with our creative players?
We eventually did. Yeah. Okay. So that was the other thing we're struggling with is I think the NBA players.
They have better
stats.
You can get more like skill points to give to your creative players, but you have to win to do that.
Which we did. But you have to win 4 times to get 1 stat point. So it's a little tough.
What?
And they also, at the end of each game, they do a little trivia section.
If you know your 1997 NBA trivia, then you can get some points.
Yeah, so they ask, and if you get like X amount of those points, you can also get a stat point. So that's pretty cool. One other fun aspect about the vibe was the music, I thought. And I really wanted to shout out here it is. In the halftime, they play the full theme song called "What You Gonna Do" by rapper M-Doc.
M-Doc.
And he raps about the game pretty much. It's kind of like a credits rap for the game, and it really pumps you up. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game as well. There's a lot of fun music.
M-Doc is from Chicago.
Whoa!
Nice.
So McKenna and I watched a documentary about Midway called Insert Coin, and they kind of talked about like a handful of their prominent games, and it was kind of just like tidbits of information about them. They kind of described the process of making a couple of them. They got some insider interviews. They didn't talk about this, but they talked about NBA Jam. But one Chicago anecdote that stuck out was they were talking about the developers who are based in Chicago. This is a Chicago studio, but the guy like in charge of this game hated Chicago. So he actually like didn't give them as good of stats, and he gave the Pistons, Detroit Pistons, who kind of like were the rivals, better like secretly, like I think he tweaked with some of the percentages or something like that. He basically like favored it, so if you played as the Bulls, you weren't gonna do as well.
Regional animosity.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's savage.
But yeah, I don't know. It was a fun game. Like, I'd definitely play it some more if we had some more people over. Like, if we get a four-player game going.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like I said, I don't like a little difficult. I don't want to complain too much about it though, because I feel like we did overcome it. It was very satisfying.
Yeah, you got up out of your chair.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, I was charged up.
Goo was getting.
I mean, I definitely like to, give my creative player some of those skill points. That would take a lot of playing though.
Well, I think you probably get points from playing against your friends though too. So that's what we need to get.
Yeah.
Is like get all our friends. Everyone's got to create a player. And start playing and level our people up, and that would be pretty cool. So Corey, next time you're over, we'll play some NBA Hangtime.
Yeah, I'll make a player and we'll play.
Before we move on, anybody got any final words on the game?
I would say honestly, I've never been like the biggest sports game fan, but this style where it's like a little silly always makes it more fun for me. Like when they're just like super serious, like I don't want to play it. It's not fun to me. Like I want to be able to shove my buddies down and steal the ball and make a ridiculous shot and catch on fire,
Yeah, the rules are they throughout the rules you can shove and push people down and stuff. It's a lot of fun. And they do have too, you mentioned secrets, like there is silly stuff. Like I think in this one, I think it's a little different. I think in NBA Jam you could unlock Mortal Kombat characters, which I think the NBA wasn't happy about, actually.
So much cooler.
They might have make them take it out, or like maybe that's why they made it a secret. I don't know. Someone with more info is gonna write in about that. But I think in this one you could unlock Ed Boon, who like was one of the creators of Mortal Kombat, so that's kind of funny.
Wow.
But yeah, McKenna.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me, it's a 2. I don't know. Did we mention it's 2v2?
Yeah, 2v2. So it's similar to like Wayne Gretzky, where it's not like a full.
Right, but it reminded me of like playing basketball when I was a kid. It would usually be me, my sister, and my 2 neighbors. So we would just do 2v2 basketball games.
Okay.
And that's like, we didn't have a full court. We just had a one basketball hoop and kind of have to make up where we played. But, it was kind of like doing that.
Yeah. It has a bit more of there's a more fun factor than it's like strict basketball simulation for sure.
Yeah.
The last thing I would say about it, and it's me comparing it again to NBA Jam, is I actually think a lot of the people were saying like, oh, it's like it but better because it has all these things added. I actually felt like when we went back and played NBA Jam, I appreciated the simplicity of it all. Like there's just a few things added in this, which I saw some reviewers say like they didn't change enough, but like they added like the double dunks and with the joystick, like if you moved it different directions when you shot, you'd do like a different type of shot or whatever. I liked playing NBA Jam and just kind of like not even thinking about that stuff. Like I just want to do some sick dunks. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to try to plan a double dunk or whatever. I want to charge at the hoop and slam dunk or shoot a three, you know, like, I don't know. I think keep it simple with these is what is the formula for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a little interesting. Can I say one last thing that I think is kind of cool? Just like reading through the wiki, just out of like curiosity for more about this game, is that apparently a lot of reviewers criticized the PlayStation version of the game for having super long load times and said that because of that the N64 version was better.
Wow.
And like tried to convince people to buy the N64 version. So that's a win for Nintendo, baby.
Yeah, take that disk system video games.
What, Final Fantasy 7? No, thank you.
I don't think so.
I need 3 discs to play one game, please.
Let's we gotta transition over into the main event. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to think of things to say about this game. Let's talk about
real hard
Mario Kart 64.
Fasten your seatbelts for a 360-degree burnout. Precision handling for 1 to 4 drivers. New Mario Kart 64. It really kicks asphalt.
Mario Kart 64 is the second game in the kart racing Mario spin-off series and the first in 3D. It features 8 Mario characters and 16 tracks organized into 4 cups, which you can race in with up to 4 players. Players use special items to gain an advantage, such as mushrooms to give themselves a speed boost or shells to slow down the other racers. In time trials, you can race to get the fastest time with the option of racing a ghost character who follows the path of a previous racer. There's also a battle mode featuring 4 stages in which players again use special items to attack the others, this time in an attempt to be the last man standing.
This was one where it's like, what more could be said about this game? But of course, we always got Corey. Let's start with you. How about you tell us just how you've encountered the game Mario Kart 64 in your life?
Ooh, I don't know how it came about, but this is one of the ones where, like, if you ask me what games I had for the N64 when I was a kid, it was just there. It's always been there. This had to have been one of the first games, if not like the first game we got for the N64. And this was easily one of the most played out of all the N64 games we had, because this was one that I would play by myself. I would play with my brother. We would play with friends. We would play at other friends' houses. And this was also my first Mario Kart game. I didn't play the original till years later, into my adulthood and stuff. So this was one of the big ones for me, for sure.
That's cool. Nico, how about you?
Growing up, I thought this was the first Mario Kart game, because it's the only one I had ever seen before. We played this a lot in my house growing up because it was one that was just easy for even like my mom, who never played video games. Like, we had 4 N64 controllers, so me, my sister, mom, and dad would all hop in and play. I always made sure to get Toad, and I think my dad would play as Mario. My mom would play as Peach. I think my sister played as Yoshi, almost all the time. And like, that was one of the games that I don't think there's ever been another video game other than maybe like Wii Sports that the 4 of us ever played together. Like, that was just like the only time there was Mario Kart 64, because it's easy. I mean, you can hop in. I mean, okay, going back and playing it now, it's not easy, but like, it's easy to play.
It is on like all the games are very, I think, easily beatable on like the 50cc level at least. So obviously, if you're playing later, How about you, McKenna?
No, but this.
So, I was gonna say the same thing about the playing with family, and this, along with like Wii Sports, being like the one game I remember playing with my family. Like, the rest of my family aren't really big gamers, but I definitely remember playing this when I was very young with the rest of my family, and I always credit it. It was either this or Pokemon Yellow. That was my first video game. I don't remember. My memories from then is not good enough to figure out which one. It might have been this because this did release earlier, but I was young enough that I could have played Pokemon Yellow first as well. But yeah, one of my earliest video game memories. This is also the first game that we've covered that I played back then. I'm not playing this for the first time for the podcast. So this is a cool moment.
Actual childhood memories about this game.
Yeah, not just I'm in my late 20s playing an old game for the first time.
Yeah, I have a similar thing to all of you, where like this was the main one I played. I think I like at the time, maybe not before, but like around then became aware of Super Mario Kart, and I thought it was so cool that you could play as a Koopa Troopa in that one. So I was always kind of like mesmerized by that game as well. But this was for me like the original Mario Kart, and it's also one where like it's nostalgic for me because of the late 90s. It's nostalgic for me because of my early 20s and it's still, and like we're still playing it today. Like it's one where it's come up a lot. And you mentioned you all have mentioned sort of how the ease of play, and I think that's from the beginning, the series' strength is that it's easy to pick up and play compared to your other racing games. But also, with this game specifically, one thing that is awesome about it is that to a lot of people, like in our age range, like pretty much everyone's played it. Not everyone, but pretty much everyone. And it's one game. That's why it's been, over the course of my life, been a game that it was like easy, like if you got 4 people and you got that game around, you can just start playing it, and it's like a blast. And it's not something that everyone's playing all the time. So like some people will be good, but you know what I mean. Like everyone kind of gets in there and is mixing it up, and you know what I mean. It's like it's such a good game to revisit because of that, and that's a strength I think the game has. Like compared to, I guess, even like other kart racers. It's not even whether or not it's the best one, but more that it's like just so universal, you know what I mean? That everyone remembers it and can play it. So I have fond memories of doing and you've mentioned this too, like the don't drink and drive, the drinking game back when I was in my 20s, like doing Kart. That Burio Kart, where like this, like I said, I could get together with my friends who we didn't even play that. We weren't, not friends I had when I were kids, but like we could all like, it's competitive, you know what I mean? So,
I had an N64 set up in my dorm room my freshman year of college. And I remember like, that's how I made friends in my dorm. I would leave my door open and like people would walk by, me and like one other person would be playing Mario Kart, and I'd just be like, yo, you want to hop in, play some Mario Kart 64? When like 2 people would be walking by like back from dinner or whatever.
Who's going to say no to that, right?
Like we're just like hanging out playing Mario Kart. Everyone's like, yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to come play. And I actually made like a lot of friends that way in college. So I don't know. Like you're right, Goo. It is one of those games that anyone really can just hop in and enjoy.
Yeah, you need to know like it's a couple so buttons,
easy. Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Is like it's so easy that like you could even put it in front of a child who has like a just basic comprehension of what's going on, and just say, "Hold A to go," and like they can compete, with any casual group of people that have played Mario Kart. And eventually they'll get an item and be like, how do I use this thing? And then it's like, all right, I got to teach them the one other button. But other than that, it's like, it really is. That's such a strength of, like you said, kart racers in general. And this wasn't even the first Mario Kart, but this is just so pick up and play. And like you said, Goo, like mentioning Mario Kart style, like adults playing, you can get good at this game. There are some people that are like crazy good at this game and do tech stuff and speed runs and stuff like that. But like the game can change depending on like how experienced the players are. But even so, like you can have someone who's really good and have someone who's not that good and just find a way to like include everyone in the play, you know?
Yeah. I like the early, like you're talking about a kid playing it, and that is one of my first memories of this, because I played it like right around when it came out, and so I was 6 years old, and there was one kid who I would always go over to his house to hang out or whatever, and we played games and stuff. And some of my earliest memories of playing this game are actually me teaming up with his older brother, who I thought was so cool, because he was like, I don't know, he's probably only like 4 years older, but you know, I'm 7 and he's in the double digits. I'm like, man, this is like practically an adult that I'm playing with. But we would play the 2-player Grand Prix together, and this is so nice of him thinking back, because we would like, it was like we're a team, and so like he would specifically be like, okay, I got the lightning, but I'm not going to use it. Like, oh, you got the star. Okay, use that, and I'll use the lightning. And he was like helping me win with him.
We were kind of doing
really
that.
nice.
We were doing that.
some co-op.
It eventually got there.
Except for the one time where you blocked me from getting all of the items.
Yeah, that was kind of a mean one. In Toad's Turnpike, where they're all lined up, I was just getting them.
I was right behind you.
I know, I should have stopped doing that after like the first lap. I'm sorry.
It takes talent though, getting all 4.
Yeah,
So
going
I
in a
was just
straight
flexing.
line.
This game. So I feel like the big, like, obviously racing is a huge, just the regular versus mode is a huge draw of this game and all Mario Kart games. But I don't know if this was the case for you guys, but out of all the Mario Kart games, I feel like, and it could just be, you know, the age range of the people I was playing with, that we actually cared more to try out other modes. But I felt like this was the most prevalent the battle mode was in Mario Kart. I remember doing the balloon battles, like we often would do that way more than even racing, because that's even more so just like wild 4 people going at it in this little ring.
I had a group
like
of
the
friends.
skyscraper level was iconic.
Oh, it's awesome.
And you just running around getting items and bashing people.
I had a group of friends where the battle was all we did. Like the only thing we did was battle. Because you get, if you have more than 4 people too, like, you know, okay, loser leaves, you know, and you could just play a million games of it, and you know, you could, even if you lost, it was fun because you got to be the bomb, you know. So yeah, but battle, yeah, I think future games, it's another case of, I think, keep it simple. I think future games battle modes, they can all be fun. I think they've all been, they have some level of fun you can get out of it, but it's always just like, I don't know, too many modes and too many things. It's like, just let me pick a course, pick a guy, get in there, 3 balloons.
Yeah, 3 balloons, items, and just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the simplicity, I think, is in there. I wanted to quick mention, because I think we were talking about the original game. I think from the beginning, the series is just about like a simple joy of go-karts. And it from the start, that is like, it's like way less high stakes than like, you know, your slick racing games, or actually we were watching the Gaming Historian has a great video on the development of Super Mario Kart, and the whole thing that sparked development of it was that F-Zero for the SNES was such a big hit but Miyamoto felt like disappointed there was only a single player game, and so he wanted to basically, he told them, like, basically make this but 2-player, and they found that with that many people playing, they couldn't have as long of like screens, basically, of as many screens to make the track out of, so they had to condense it. So they're like, well, now you can't go that fast. So they had to kind of rework.
So make it little.
Like, make it little into carts. So yeah, there's, I don't know, there's, even from the beginning, there's just something like, I don't know, simple, cute, charming about it. That, I mean, it really says a lot that they always bring those courses back too, because there's just something so sweet and so charming about the first handful of Mario Kart games that it's always worth revisiting, you know?
I think that is one of the huge draws of this game over the original. Like, if you're just comparing them side by side, they both have similar, like, kind of similar vibes, but one thing that this game has in spades over the other one is, like, the different courses and the way that they're laid out. Because of the transition to 3D, they were able to do so much more with it. Because that's something that in the original game, it's like infinitely frustrating. Even going back now, it's just like, it feels like you're going over this like flat map and you can't tell where the obstacles are and stuff. And then in this, it's like fully rendered, and it was originally, or the early name for it, whatever, was like Mario Kart R or something for rendered. And like they're just able to communicate racetracks and obstacles so much better. And of course, with that comes like the aesthetic of all the different levels. Like, so many of the different courses have their own music tracks, which I've been listening to in the background this whole time. They all have like their different unique obstacles. Like Banshee Boardwalk has like the holes and stuff, and like ghosts popping up everywhere. And of course, Rainbow Road has all the crazy stuff in the background, and it's all just everything is super, super memorable, super unique to each individual track, and it makes them so much more memorable, set apart from even the rest of the tracks in the game.
For sure, yeah, that definitely they branched out a lot more. I don't necessarily hold it against the original game. I think it worked well within its constraints. I think they do a good job of like even being like, yeah, this is like Mario Circuit 2, you know? So it's like, you know, but now, going back, even in Mario Kart Super Circuit we were playing, they started to do that a little bit. Like, there's some Mario Circuit 2, but then by the time you're getting to the later ones, it's like, or not even the later ones, it's like, there's like Cheese Land and stuff like that. There's some, I don't know, I'm actually always kind of charmed and blown away by like what they can do with so little. And I think even now at this point, Mario Kart 64 impresses me in that regard. Like,
well, I think when you guys were playing Super Mario Kart, I was watching, I don't think I was playing, I was watching you guys play in the living room. And I think we kind of mentioned that a lot of the like limitations are what spark creativity in these games, because, you know, they have to reuse assets and they have to figure out how to make their idea work with the limitations given on the console that they're working on, which is huge. And I mean, that goes all the way back to like the Super Mario Brothers. I mean, right? The clouds or the bushes, you know, like everyone knows that. And I mean, it's just those little things, and you can see it in previous Mario Kart, but not in this one. You don't see it as much because you do have the 3D rendered worlds with your 2D sprite characters, but you like hardly even notice that your character is 2D. Like, you genuinely don't, because it's so well done.
It looks super cool, and I want to briefly talk about, actually, because we're playing stuff on the original hardware on CRT, and for Mario Kart Night, we were playing it on NSO, and there's I think there's something cool about both versions, because in the NSO one, it's like, you know, it's super clean, and you can like see everything like unclouded almost, quote unquote. That sounds like bad saying clouded, but you know what I mean? You see like every pixel, every inch, and you can like almost marvel at that. Like, I see the pixel of the driver. It's so much more clearly like a pixel guy, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just like appreciating the sprite work. I'm like, oh, that looks so cool, and how it turns, you know. Compare that to when we were playing on the CRT, like, it, like, the fuzziness of it almost makes it look like, oh, this is like a
Adds into the
3D
effect.
Yeah, like it made
Yeah.
it look even more like a 3D
Yeah.
guy on the screen. So I thought, I don't know, there's something almost cool about that. Like there's a value in both almost that I get out of it. We were talking about actually one way they got around, or it's not even a limitation, but one way they were able to design the original games courses was they had an in-game course maker, you know, where they could be like, okay, we're plopped down 4 blocks here, and that got you all
Yeah, I
fired
was
up.
like, oh, they gotta make a Mario Kart maker.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's
How have they
that's
not
gotta be
put
the
that
next.
into one of the games yet.
I feel
Why?
like
I keep thinking
the
like
Super Mario Kart would at least be easy to do,
like
right?
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feels like, you know, their ultimate Mario Kart. So it's like, where are you gonna go from here? And
Yeah.
well, I had two
game's
ideas.
never
There's
gonna
like
die.
the
They got to go somewhere.
Mario Kart Maker, or the like the other.
You pitched
that
basically Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, you bring in like different vehicles. Like you bring in the wave race jet skis, all the pilot wings vehicles, and do all kinds of different courses and race.
Mm-hmm.
So then it
I
becomes
think
kind
they
of
might
more than
actually do that
Mario
in a
Kart.
future game. They won't. They
Yeah.
probably won't
I can
ever
see
make
that.
another Diddy Kong Racing. They'll probably just co-opt.
Yeah,
like,
probably
the
just
Get the,
premise.
all the
get the
Donkey-
Tears of the
bunch of Donkey
Kingdom
Kong
vehicles
characters are
in
in-
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
you mentioned Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and like a lot of people have been like have a similar view of that, and it's like, well, they might as well just do Nintendo Kart now, like just branch it, basically make it Smash, but Mario Kart, because like they already have like Villager and Link and like a bunch of other Nintendo characters that aren't actually Mario characters in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, but I don't know. I think
It's true.
they'll find a way to do something. Because I never picked up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because I got Mario Kart 8 when it came out and played it a bunch on the Wii U when no one else was playing it. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that was me
And
for
then
a
it came
long
out
time.
for the Switch, and I was like, I don't need that. No. And then they decided, you know what? Everyone's buying this game, so let's just keep adding stuff to it. And I'm like, dang it, come on.
That's what got me.
It really feels like the final Mario Kart, doesn't it?
Well, yeah.
Better
Well,
not
what
be.
do they do next? Add more vehicles.
Yeah.
Let's
Make it the Smash Bros of racing games.
let's do some real basic stuff quick. What's everyone's character they play as?
Toad.
Toad.
Peach.
Peach. Okay.
Mine's
Corey.
either Luigi or Toad.
Either. You don't sound committed to Luigi then.
Depends how I'm feeling.
Okay, we might.
I would
have,
say on average I go Luigi more, but I've been known to play Toad.
we might have to have a Luigi off.
Yeah. A Luigi off, and then if I lose, I'll have a Toad off with Nico.
Tune in next week for the Luigi off.
Okay, characters, and
Mamma mia!
there are different stats attributed to the characters, but it's not until Super Circuit, I think, I think that came out next, or did Double. I don't remember, but
Did, yeah.
that's when they start telling you the stats of everyone. But if you read, the manual or Nintendo Power or whatever, they explain it. So I guess that's fair. Can't be too mad.
I think it's like the basic ones that they've had that is still pretty much the ones now are like weight, acceleration, and top speed, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was watching when I was watching you guys play Super Mario Kart with you were playing Donkey Kong Jr. And like he took forever to get up and go.
Yeah.
Like his acceleration sucked, but then his top speed was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I've never like sat and like paid attention to that because I'm always just playing my favorite character, so I know how they move. So interesting.
Bowser, I think, are the big boys.
yeah.
They get going, but they are slow
Them
to
heavyweights.
get going. I have a
That was
specific
big boy.
memory of a few years playing Super Mario Kart against a couple of my friends they're like just a couple years older than me, but to where that would have been the one they first really got into, and they were just kicking my butt. And I was talking to my one friend, and I was like, what's your secret? And they were like, this isn't really good advice, I don't think, but they were like, I just knew I learned when I played this when I was a kid that if I picked Bowser and I didn't hit the walls, that I would win. It's like, okay, great, thank you.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that adds up. Nowadays, there's so many different little factors, like getting getting your 8 coins and like the different boosts and different.
I like the coins. I'm glad they brought that back. That was in the original and Super Circuit, so those were cool. With the courses, there's not really one on this that's like not iconic. I think it's just it's so classic. But
they're all iconic.
Does everyone want to give a favorite course?
Oh, DK's Jungle Parkway.
Okay.
Great one.
That's a sick one.
I like getting the coconuts thrown at me when I'm off course, which always happens.
I try to land on the cruise ship.
That ship is cool.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I would do that all the time. For sure.
I feel like you can go gamble there.
It's like it's like gambling riverboat. In the middle of the like a Nile River kind of situation.
Yeah. DK Jungle Casino.
I was always fond of Royal Raceway.
Yeah, that's a classic too.
Another the big jump.
Yeah.
In the castle.
Another off course. Yeah.
So, yeah, you can go get stuck there.
I always remember thinking there's something cool there.
Like trying to unlock, like, can I meet Yoshi? And it's, I am Yoshi.
Hell is real.
Corey, what about you?
I think that's really tough. I think if I had to pick one on the spot right now, it would probably be Koopa Troopa Beach. Because that's just it's just I love Koopa Troopa Beach.
I think that's my least favorite course.
Why?
I am bad at it.
Aw. What I loved about that one as a kid was it had an obvious secret that was like achievable. You know what I mean? Like I could figure out like
going through the cave,
and you jump in that cave.
That's why I like it so much is because it's just like a natural, like you're following the coastline, but it has those little like split off paths and it's got a bunch of jumps and stuff too. And that soundtrack is unstoppable.
The soundtrack,
just unbeatable.
Yeah, I want to shout out a couple songs, but McKenna, what's your favorite course?
I'm a Rainbow Road gal.
Rainbow Road?
Yeah, I always love doing the Rainbow Roads. Last night I was playing some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I played all 4 Rainbow Roads in a row.
Yeah.
That was a sweet lineup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're really into the make your own cup situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to have to ask some people to give me their make your own cup.
Do you have, I know this isn't specifically about Mario Kart 64, but do you have a favorite Rainbow Road? Because I do.
Probably.
That one, I know you had us.
It's yours.
The one you had, I really liked that one.
You just blew our minds on it, honestly.
That one was really good.
It's because no one remembers it.
What game?
Well, I don't
Mario,
think it's
Mario
3DS.
Kart 7.
Yeah, so I had never.
Which one is that?
Played
Is that the one where you're like on the moon
before?
or something?
Yeah.
I
But it
don't
was
like
really
that
cool.
one.
That's my favorite.
I don't like that. I think that departs too much from the Rainbow Road of old.
But it's space.
It's
but it's like
it's not Moon Road.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't like about it. It's like this isn't space. Like just make a space station course. Like that would be sick. But like Rainbow Road should be you're on a big crazy rainbow where you can fall off in the middle of
oh my god.
You can fall off on
crazy
that
one.
Like
fever trip.
You're outvoted on this one, Corey.
It has the best Mario. It has the best song for any Rainbow Road, in my opinion.
Well, see, I think my favorite Rainbow Road is probably from Double Dash, and that's just like a straight up, like crazy corkscrews, and you're gonna fall off of like 5,000 times, like super heat of the moment, like
on the Wii.
That's a pretty wild Rainbow Road.
You know, I really like the Nintendo 64 one, as well as the new version of it in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, I do too.
There is something very special about just like going on this big Rainbow Road, and there's
It's
like
such good
pictures of
vibes.
Yeah.
So it's a little different in the original. It's just like these neon like line art
Faces.
pictures
Those
of
are
the
cooler though.
faces. And yeah,
I
it is
I
really
am
cool.
older.
In the new one, it's fireworks.
Not as cool.
They're not. Yeah, they
I
don't
wa-
have like all the neon colors, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the
No,
way that
fireworks aren't as good.
it you know it's
It's
this.
a good
It's
reinterpretation.
a remake. Yeah, it's a reinterpretation. It's not like a 1-to-1.
I like they do that with
It's
the older
a like
ones.
refresher.
Mhm.
It's got the train and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I love of
Rainbow
this
Train.
Rainbow Road in particular. The N64 one is like, it feels like such a great, because Rainbow Road has gotten this reputation a little bit of being like one that's like way too intense or difficult for like casual rounds and stuff. But like this one feels very specifically like
It's
a
got bumpers.
end of
It's
the
chill. Yeah.
yeah. It feels like a chill like end of the game appreciation of like you did it. So let's cruise
Yeah.
through space on a rainbow.
It's like
and just
chill,
appreciate this game.
but also hype.
Yeah.
Well, it's also got that big downhill section right at the beginning where
That
McKenna, when we were playing on the game night,
Guys,
you just
I just
jumped
went
right
right off. I
I
recorded it. I'm gonna post it on Twitter after this episode
Please
comes
do.
out.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It takes forever.
I was
for
like,
you to fall
when
off.
am I gonna fall?
I'm
They're still
just floating
going.
in space now.
It was like,
It's
have I
hilarious.
have I broken the game? Am I just gonna keep going into the void?
And it's like right at the beginning of the course.
Yeah.
And so you're just like screwed right from the get-go.
Mhm.
I do, before we go, want to mention the music real quick, because I think it's a big part
Yeah.
of the vibe of the game. And overall,
Big time.
I want to add
It's
just
top tier.
the vibe of the game. I've said this before, and I kind of attribute this to our buddy Connor, but because he kind of got the idea in my head. But like, of this era of Mario games is before the definitive 3D vibe of Mario is set. And I think you see that in Mario 64, and you see that in this, where it's just like, I said this about Mario 64, where too, playing it, it's like, this game feels like the future. It feels like Y2K. Because it's just, there's like these 3D elements in it that wouldn't fit now in a Mario game, but like, they just look so, you know, it's like, and they pop, everything pops, and it's just got cool, like, polygonal 3D stuff. And then it's got like, the music is carried over more, but it's just got like some out of nowhere, just like, I don't know, I think like the song that plays after you win a race and they're just tallying up your points, that it's like this almost frantic but chill song. Like, I don't know, there's just,
Yeah.
drums are just kind of, you know.
Yeah, it's like there's definitely some, that's kind of like just this era of video game music too. Like the N64 has soundtracks that slap, but like there's this weird like funkiness to it that's like a little like it would feel a little like I would probably love it in Mario games nowadays, but it would feel distinctly like off-brand almost.
Yeah.
Unless it's like they're trying to go for something specific. But like it works so well in this. There's like a bunch of courses with tracks that have like steel drums and stuff.
Steel drums,
Like
that was big at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a favorite standout track? I kind of like just the song that plays when you turn it on, the Welcome to Mario Kart song.
Yeah.
I all these because of that thing I just mentioned. I like that. I like the select screen music.
Yep.
And I like where it's
They're all
tallying
awesome.
up your points at the end of the race. I love all the in between songs.
All the in
that they have.
betweens. I think my favorite would probably be Rainbow Road. Or also because it's one of my favorite tracks would be Koopa Troopa Beach. Because it's just so fitting and tropical and relaxing.
Ding,
And
ding, ding, ding.
there's a sweet remix of it that I found that's so good. It's just like pure summer.
Yeah, it's a chill out song. You have one, McKenna? You're gonna say Rainbow Road.
Rainbow Road's really good. DK
Yeah,
Jungle
it is.
is awesome.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just the perfect vibe. It fits it so well.
The jungle
Yeah.
type of music. Yeah.
I'm a big Wario Stadium music fan. You know, like that.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, and then you get that funky, it's that funky organ in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. It's
All those
actually
on the...
kind of a hilarious song too.
When you like hear the sound they use for the bass on that one, and then it comes up a lot actually in like the Yoshi one. The bass has a weird like wet sound to it.
It does.
It's like a funky wet sound that I'm like, interesting choice, but it makes it so much more fun, I think.
Frappe Snowland is a classic too. All those ones where it's like super fitting to the atmosphere of the track. It's like those are the ones that I love so much.
Yeah, of course. Gosh, yeah. I mean, we could go on and on. We could talk about all kinds of other Mario Kart games, because I'm sure we have memories for all of those. But I mean, we might have to just like we might have to call it for now and come back to it or something. Because gosh, yeah.
Bonus.
Anybody have any final things they wanted to get out there about Mario Kart 64 though before we go?
What's your favorite item?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, probably the lightning.
The lightning.
If you're behind,
Lightning is brutal.
Running over people.
I feel like the lightning in this game lasts like an extra long time.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a massive help. Star.
Star is so good.
I'm a defensive player, so I'm a big old fan of that. The 3 shells.
Oh,
specifically if I get the red. Ooh.
Yeah, I was just gonna say mine's the triple red shell because that's just, but not for the defensive reason, more for like everyone ahead of me. I'm like, oh, you're done.
Battle mode, I think that's great to have. You can just run into people.
Yeah, if you get triple shell in battle mode, you won.
Well, unless you got the star.
Yeah,
the star trumps
it. I remember having multiple moments when we were doing battle mode where like we'd both have a star. And it would just be like a standoff.
Yeah.
Either that or like you get the star, but you'd be carrying it around for a while waiting for somebody to pass you by.
I dare you to come near me type situation.
It's also really fun to get when you're on Rainbow Road because it's just like so much rainbow going on. Yeah.
This really was like truly one of those games where my buddies and I, when we were 6, 7, having sleepovers, we would build a fort. We'd grab our popcorn and our cans of root beer and like have the TV set up with the N64 underneath the blankets, in our little fort, and we'd be playing Mario Kart together, and someone got the blue shell and then we'd kick him out of the fort, Like, you're not allowed to hang out with us anymore. You used a blue shell.
Blue shell's classic too. Can't forget the blue shell.
But it's truly like just one of those games that like will always hold so many memories for me because it's a game I've been playing since I started playing video games. And it's one that I go back to so often for being like a retro game, quote unquote.
Oh yeah.
It really is cool to just be able to go back and anyone can pick it up and get to play with your buddies. And it's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the first 4-player game in 1997, and it's the second 4-player game for the N64, and I think it's
one of the best.
No, it's the third. NBA Hangtime, of course.
NBA Hangtime, yeah.
Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. But this, this is such a universal game. It's classic. What more? Well,
I'm
there's a lot
listening
more
to the victory lap music, and it's making me a little emotional thinking about the game now.
I'm listening to Rainbow Road right now.
I like that you're listening to the music.
It brings a little tear to my eye. Good game is what I have to say. Good game.
So put the pedal to the metal and the rubber to the road. Throw that joystick in overdrive and kick asphalt.
Thank you for coming on and talking about this game with us. We're in early 1997, and our next episode we're gonna do is we're just gonna do one game in the episode. How about that? And
Sounds good.
There's a reason why. I'm not gonna explain why though, because it's silly to explain. But we've mapped out how some of these episodes are gonna go. Some are gonna have one game. Our next game we're covering is on Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, which was I thought was a pretty badass game when I was a kid. So we're gonna see.
I wasn't
what it's
allowed
like.
to play it.
I remember it being pretty intense. You know, it was one of those games where you pick your blood color. I associated that in Resident Evil. So yeah, spoilers, but that's what we're talking about next. Cool. Like I mentioned at the top, everyone go check out our Patreon and also
you've
Discord.
got a new Patreon patron as of a few minutes ago.
Right freaking now? Nico?
Wow.
It's me.
Oh, Nico. Okay, I've been saying this in the chat, and you'll see it, but I'm going to say it to you personally right now. You are a superstar. Which means your name.
Oh my gosh.
You get a gold name in the Discord, and you get to come join us all.
Pretty badass.
And Corey, you're going to want to be there when you hear the name. You get to come join us on Waluigi's Island. Which is our special patrons only chat.
I'm gonna have to shell out that $1 just to be
Shell
on
out?
that island.
You better blue
Shell it out, baby.
Yeah.
Shell out that $1.
Don't worry, it's only a green shell. It's just $1.
Well, Nico, you also unlocked a download of our theme song.
No way. I think I have a couple versions of it on my PC at this moment.
Nico has more versions than you guys do.
Well, speaking of, I want to again thank the both of you, not for just coming on, but for Corey helping us with some of the artwork and stuff, and Nico writing and making this awesome theme that we have.
These two are responsible for a lot of the vibes.
You helped crafted the vibe around here, and I feel
I'm
like
a professional vibe crafter.
we're vibe doctors over here.
Oh yeah, baby.
So yeah, we thank the both of you a lot, and for being great guests. And as for our other stuff, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can like, comment, subscribe, give us a rating or review on your platform of choice. Wherever you can do that, we'll like to share them on the show. We're on Twitter at Flashback64Pod. We're our email, flashback64pod@gmail.com. Oh, we're on Blue Sky.
We're on Blue Sky, yeah. We're on Blue Sky now.
Oh, Blue Sky, baby.
I think we're just Flashback64 on there. Yeah, at Flashback64Pod. So check us out over there. It's been kind of fun if you can get on there. If you're trying to get a download, or what is it, an invite code. We don't have any right now, but we'll try to get you one there. Oh, sorry about that. Come join our Discord, like I mentioned, and thanks for listening to the show. We'll see everybody when we talk about Turok, Dinosaur Hunter.
Turok, baby.
Or for Mario Kart Night.
And Mario Kart Night. Oh,
Ooh.
Mario Kart Night.
Oh,
Which
yes.
will have already
Passed. Well, whatever. We're going to do something, hopefully. You'll see in our Discord or online. We're going to have game nights more, so check that out. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Boom shakalaka.